Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be recapping and going over the Orioles 2025 draft recap of the full first round for the Orioles. I think the first three rounds happened yesterday, and then the rest of the rounds are happening, actually ongoing as we speak right now. We're not going to go over any of the picks that are happening today, but we are going to go over the first round for the Orioles. It was a very busy day for the Orioles yesterday. Obviously, they had the game earlier where they lost 11-1, but we also had the MLB draft yesterday, and the Orioles in the first round had 4 first-round picks in this draft. And one of them we're not really going to talk too much about because he is a very hard Vanderbilt commit, and it is expected that he most likely might be going to Vanderbilt instead of going to the Orioles. So we're not really going to talk about him too much, but we are going to go over the first 3 selections we had in the first round. The Orioles had the most picks of any team in one round. We had 4 first-round picks. So it was a very busy day for the Orioles and a very big day for the Orioles as well. Obviously, the MLB draft, a lot of people really kind of like overlook it because you're not going to see some of these guys for maybe 2 to 3 years. But then you have players who sometimes you see, like in 1 year. For guys like example, like Cam Smith on the Astros and Jack Caglione for the Royals, like guys who really can skyrocket up rankings, you can really see early. So going over this Orioles draft, the first 3 picks that we had, I absolutely love. They all bring something different to the table, but at the same time, they were all incredible college hitters. And a big thing that a lot of people were asking for from the Orioles was about the pitching. And we didn't. So basically, yesterday in the first round, the Orioles had 4 first round picks, and the Orioles didn't draft a single pitcher with any of those 4 picks. So that was a little bit concerning because obviously you look at the pitching as it stands right now, and it's just overall it's just not a good thing. And there's also not really any pitchers for the future that the Orioles can really look at and say that's our guy. They can look at position players and say that guys like Samuel Basallo or Dylan Beavers or stuff like that, or Vance Honeycutt. Like you can look at those guys on position players and say, oh, those guys are going to be good. Because the Orioles, in terms of position players, are absolutely stacked, and we've known that. We've been known that. You look at the Orioles roster as it stands right now, and you also look at the people coming up through AAA and AA. The position players are stacked, and the position player group just got even more stacked after this draft. So let's just go over these draft picks. So going over this first draft pick, it is going to be Ike Irish out of Auburn University. It has him listed as a catcher, but he's most likely going to be moving to the outfield. I know we have Samuel Basallo. I know that we have Adley Rutschman, and obviously all the catching injuries with the Orioles. It kind of makes sense to go pick up another catcher, but we will go over another catcher in just a second. But Ike Irish is listed as a catcher here. He's most likely going to play the outfield. I don't really know why they would have him play catcher, especially with the next guy that they picked that we'll go over in a second. But Ike Irish out of Auburn University, a very, very, very good overall solid college hitter. He was one of the better, average hitters in college all year. I think he batted like a 364 this season. He had 19 home runs. He was great. He was absolutely great. He was by far the best player on Auburn. He was very, very good for Auburn this year. He, a lot of people had him ranked like consistently in their top 10 of players in this draft. There was even rumors that Seattle might take him at 3. So basically what I'm saying is we got a very big steal. He was valued way higher than when we drafted him at. He fell all the way down to 19. We ended up getting him very much like Vance Honeycutt last year, where he was valued like in the top 10 consistently. He fell all the way down to our pick, and we drafted him. Ike Irish was valued a lot higher, and he fell down to us. We are probably going to have him play outfield. I'm sure of it. But Ike Irish, great player, great overall pure hitter. I think he had like 68 RBIs, 19 home runs. He batted like above a 360. He was fantastic for the Auburn. He was fantastic for Auburn last year. And he did his thing. And he's a player who I think could come in and just be an overall solid hitter. Mike Elias yesterday on his phone call yesterday was saying how he thinks he can be a great player and a great fit for someone to play at Camden Yards. So You like to see the confidence from Mike there. But Ike Irish, a home run pick, someone who just had a ton of value that fell to us. He was the best player available at this point, and it's kind of just a no-brainer to go out and take him. Because in general, when it comes to the MLB draft, a lot of the times you do just go out there and take best player available because, this isn't like the MLB draft, or this isn't like the NBA draft or the NFL draft where you see these guys like the next season. You really go out and develop these guys, and whether these guys are a part of trade assets in the future, if you're trying to trade for like a superstar player or a star player, or if they're just part of your future and you're actually going to be using these guys, as a key part of your future. Either scenario is good when you take best player available. So, especially in the MLB draft, taking best player available is always the best thing to do because, again, whether you use these guys for trade pieces or you actually use these guys as part of your future, it rewards you either way. So, Ike Irish, by far the best player available. A very, very, very good value pick for the Orioles. And all three of these Orioles picks that we're going to be talking about are all incredible value. Mike Elias, once again, he might be bad at, building a team through free agency and doing trades and actually like building a roster. But when it comes to drafting and draft season, Mike Elias is a madman. He is a genius when it comes to drafting. I would say he's probably arguably the best drafting for GM in baseball because, again, he did come from the Astros drafting department. So all he knows about is really drafting. That's his specialty. Obviously, you look at the Orioles rosters it stands right now when it comes to their hitters. They're pretty much all homegrown Orioles. You look at Jackson, you look at Gunnar, you look at Adley, Jordan. All these guys are, homegrown Orioles in terms of the part of their future. So obviously the Orioles had very high picks for multiple years after all the tanking, but a lot of them they really hit on. And even with these later picks and these late to mid first round picks, Mike Elias is still going out there and having an incredible draft. So Ike Irish, a no-brainer pick in my opinion. A lot of people are going to be asking about pitchers, which I understand. But overall, I mean, you just go best player available in this situation. But overall, an amazing pick by Mike. 1-for-1 for sure. After this, at this point in the draft, he was 1-for-1. Ike Irish, incredible value, incredible pick. We'll see what his future with the Orioles looks like. Obviously, Mike was telling him that he has confidence to play at Camden Yards and everything like that. So that's cool to see. We'll see what his future is. We'll see if he's actually going to be a outfielder like for the future with this team, or if he's going to be a trade asset. Either way, excited for the future with this guy. But going over to the next draft pick for the Orioles, and this is actually this might be my favorite draft pick that the Orioles had today, and that is Caden Bodine. He's a catcher out of Coastal Carolina, and this guy is a catcher. This guy will play catcher. And when I say he'll play catcher, I mean he will play catcher. This guy was, it's arguable, but in my opinion, he was the best catcher in this entire draft. He was the best catcher in college baseball this season. An absolutely incredible framer. That's the thing that he's known for. He went a little bit viral on social media, went a little bit viral in the baseball world during the College World Series about his framing. Because Caden Bodine, the thing that he does best is his framing. You can even see it in the photo that the Orioles used. He is framing a pitch. He's incredible at it. And I know with the whole, robot umps and everything like that, it might not be as effective. But in college baseball this year, during the College Baseball World Series tournament, obviously it was Coastal Carolina and LSU in the final two. They were in the championship game. And Caden Bodine was a huge part of that Coastal Carolina team. And he is the best catcher in college baseball. He is one of the better contact hitters in this draft. He's not necessarily a big power guy, but he is an incredible contact guy at the plate. Great contact hitter. Always seems to put the ball in play. Doesn't really strike out at all. His strikeout rate is extremely low. Very similar to like what Adley Rutschman was coming out of college, where Adley was obviously a big power guy and a big contact guy, and he also didn't strike out. And he was, a solid defender. That's obviously why he rose up so much whenever we took him first overall back then. But Caden Bodine, he doesn't have a lot of power, but he is an incredible contact hitter. He doesn't strike out, and he is, in terms of defending as a catcher, in terms of his arm, and in terms of his framing work, I mean, it's top tier, especially the framework. The framework is top tier. He went a little bit viral during the college World Series. Obviously, like during games, they were nationally televised. They were talking about Caden Bodine's like framing, like his workouts that he does. And when you go online, you see a bunch of people on TikTok or people on Twitter or people on Instagram, and it's a bunch of like catchers, like high school catchers or even college catchers, who are doing his workouts for framing. And but overall, the thing that people know Caden Bodine for is his framework. Framing pitches, very quick hand, very quick snap hand when it comes to actually framing a pitch. So it's actually really satisfying to watch. I would definitely recommend you all to go check it out. Some videos of Caden Bodine. I mean, you can just type in Caden Bodine anywhere, and the first thing you'll see about is his framing. The best college catcher in college baseball this season. He was incredible. An absolute steal by the Orioles to get him at pick 30. Again, catcher is not a position necessarily that is like loved by a lot of teams, hence why he fell down here. But now you have Adley Rutschman, you have Samuel Basayo, and you have Caden Bodine, and I think Caden Bodine is going to be a star catcher, whether it's with the Orioles or whether it's with another team in a trade piece or whatever it is. Obviously, the catcher room for the Orioles is a little bit full right now. So it kind of leads me to question what Adley Rutschman's future is going to be. It kind of leads me to question what if he's actually going to be our catcher for the future, because obviously, in general, you would think, okay, Adley's going to be part of the future. We drafted him first overall. He's one of the pillars of this team. But at the same time, if you look at his struggles over the past, calendar year, they have been very alarming. The strikeout rate has gone up. The amount of times that he does just weak ground balls, just not being able to get on base, not being able to get hits, it has been a big concern, I'm sure, for the front office of the Orioles, for the coach and staff of the Orioles, and also just for Adley Rutschman in general. He definitely has been struggling quite a bit over the past calendar year. So you take that into account, plus you take into account that Samuel Basayo is the number 1 catching prospect in baseball. He's the number 10 overall prospect in baseball, and I think yesterday he just hit his 19th home run in AAA, and he's absolutely crushing it in AAA, doing amazing. While obviously the Orioles have this big catcher problem, and he's just sitting there. But that's something to discuss later on. But you have obviously Samuel Basayo, but then you have Caden Bodine now in this catching room, in this catching prospect pool. You have Caden Bodine now, who's here, who I think can be a star in this league if he gets the opportunity. I think he has all the tools to just be a, in terms of the catcher position, offense, obviously the pop isn't really there, but the contact is there and the high average is there, and the putting balls in play is there. But in terms of defense and framing and the arm, I think he can be a superstar in this league. I really do think Caden Bodine, getting the opportunity, can be a potential all-star catcher if he gets the opportunity. But obviously, when it comes to the Orioles, the opportunity isn't necessarily wide open for Caden Bodine to get, which is interesting. And again, this is what drafting best player available does. If you have a position that is super stacked and you draft someone who's the best player available at that position, it just bolsters it even more. But it also raises question of what the future of some of those guys currently on the roster, the future of them are. And it really does raise concern on Adley Rutschman's future. I'm not going to lie. I do think that it's a possibility that Adley does get traded. I know to some of you that might sound crazy, but I do think Adley Rutschman could get traded. I don't think it's going to be at this deadline. I doubt it. I mean, who knows? Who knows at this point? Who knows what the Orioles are going to do? These next couple of weeks for the Orioles in terms of the trades that's going to happen in the trade deadline season, I'm sure the Orioles are probably going to be the most active team this trade deadline. I would put my money on it. A lot of people agree. A lot of people on Twitter agree. A lot of people online agree that the Orioles are probably going to be the most active team in terms of selling at this deadline. So it's going to be very interesting to see who we get rid of. Will Adley Rutschman get traded? Who knows? I think it could happen next year because he still has 2 more years before his contract is up. So he has all of this season and all of next season left. So Maybe we'll trade him next deadline. Maybe we'll trade him this offseason. Maybe we'll trade him in the next couple of weeks. Who knows? But I think seeing that Adley Rutschman really has not gotten any better over the past year, first of all, it has lowered his trade value quite a lot, I'm sure, and it also has lowered his contract value a lot. But maybe the Orioles do decide to kind of bite the bullet, trade Adley Rutschman, move on with Samuel Basallo as your, franchise catcher, and then also have Caden Bodine in, the works. Very similar to like an Adley to Samuel, it would be Samuel to Caden. So it's very, very similar in that aspect. But who knows what's going to happen? Again, Adley Rutschman's future with the Orioles. I'm not going to say it looks bad, but I am going to say it looks a little concerning, because even when you go back and you look at the Ike Irish pick, we drafted him. I mean, as a catcher, I guess, but he's not going to be playing catcher because he can play outfield. I wouldn't see any world where Ike Irish, Caden Bodine, Samuel Basallo, and Adley Rutschman can all just fit in the same thing if we're going to have Ike play catcher, which I just don't think we are. I mean, who knows? It's still, early to make judgments on that. But I'm going into this thinking Ike Irish is going to play outfield. I'm going into this thinking Caden Bodine is obviously going to be a big part of this catching room. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting next couple of weeks. Our questions should be getting answered very soon on Adley, whether that's this trade deadline or whether that's in the offseason or whether that's sometime next season. But we'll see what happens. Again, baseball is a fun sport. Baseball is a very interesting sport. Lots of things happen, lots of different scenarios that we're talking about. Lots of yapping about baseball, as we know. But we love it. We love it very much. But going over to the third and final pick that we are going to discuss today, it is Weha Aloy. It is... Wait. I cannot believe we got this guy. I seriously cannot even believe that we got this guy. But I seriously cannot even believe that we got this guy. Wehiwa Aloy from the University of Arkansas. He is a shortstop. But Wehiwa Aloy, if you don't know much about college baseball, which some of y'all might not know too much about it, Wehiwa Aloy, he was the Golden Spikes winner, and he was also the SEC Player of the Year. Basically, the Golden Spikes Award goes to the best player in college baseball that season. So basically, it's kind of the same thing as like the Heisman Award. And Wehiwa Aloy won the Golden Spikes Award this year in college baseball, and he was crowned the best player in college baseball this season. And he fell all the way to pick 31 for the Orioles. And obviously, some of this stuff happens. Like a really good player who wins a big award might fall just due to concerns about certain things, about how they play, maybe positional thing, and whatnot. But the Orioles go out and get Wehiwa Aloy, shortstop from University of Arkansas. He is a shortstop. Again, Gunnar is in that position. This doesn't necessarily mean that Gunner's job is gone, obviously. But Wehiwa Aloy, I'm not going to lie, maybe one of the biggest steals of this entire draft. Getting him at pick 31, going back-to-back with Caden Bodine, you get the Golden Spikes winner. I mean, there's really not much else to say. He had 21 home runs this year. He was batting above a 300. He was the best player in college baseball this season. He won the Golden Spikes Award, and the Orioles drafted him at pick 31. An absolute steal, an absolute no-brainer pick, and just, again, best player available. It continues to happen. Best player available, the Orioles go out and get him. And Wehiwa Aloy is an Oriole. And to be honest with you, I'm extremely, extremely excited about this pick. Obviously, him being the Golden Spikes winner is a very big deal. And the fact that he's an Oriole is just so cool to see, and it just bolsters up this prospect room even more. You got Wehiwa Aloy, you got Ike Irish, you got Caden Bodine, you got Vance Honeycutt down there, you got Enrique Bradfield Jr., you got Dylan Beavers, you've got obviously Samuel Basallo. Like, you've got a very, very good farm system now, and I think that the Orioles farm system was consistently always the top, but now that we've lost some of those prospects, guys like Kobe Mayo and Jackson Holliday, who are no longer like eligible to be prospects anymore, obviously. When those guys, left, the Orioles farm room ranked down to 14th. But I think that the Orioles farm room is definitely going to go up to, in my opinion, I think it's going to go up to top 10. I think it's definitely going to go up to top 10. I would say maybe even top 5 for farm room if these guys can go out here and just perform like we think that they are. But Wehiwa Aloy is an Oriole, an absolute steal, the Golden Spikes winner. shortstop from Arkansas. Incredible pick. And just another steal by Mike Elias. And he started this draft off 3 for 3. And then later on in the draft, he went out and actually got some more picks. Obviously, Ike Irish, Caden Bodine, Wahiwa Aloy. And then in the first round of pick 37, he did get Slater DeBrun. He was a high schooler from Summit High School in Oregon. And he's a center fielder. He's a very, explosive guy. He does a lot of things great. Overall, he's a great player. But the problem is that he is a very hard Vanderbilt commit. And there is a strong sense that he's actually just going to go to Vanderbilt and try and increase his draft stock. And then just get drafted very high next year. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm not really sure. That's why I didn't really talk about him, is because there's a sense that he's not going to be on the Orioles, which sucks. But, at the end of the day, it happens. This happens a lot in baseball. Then we got Joseph Dezerwa, who is a left-handed pitcher from Michigan. We needed that. We needed a left-handed pitcher from Michigan State. And we got Joseph, again. The Orioles needed left-handed pitching badly, and they go out and answer that problem in round 2. Then we got JT Quinn, which is a right-handed pitcher from Georgia. So you go back-to-back on pitchers there, and then you end it off on day 1 with RJ Austin, a center fielder from Vanderbilt University. So overall, just great value overall. Throughout this entire draft, every single person that we drafted on day 1 was valued way higher. Not way higher, but was valued higher than when we drafted him. Ike Irish was a projected maybe top 10 pick. We got him at 19. Caden Bodine, best catcher in baseball, got him at pick 30. Wahiwa Aloy, the Golden Spike Sooner, we got him at pick 31. An absolute home run draft for Mike Elias on day 1. Hopefully he can keep cooking on day 2. We'll check in with that as well. But Mike Elias, he might not know how to build a team, but he damn sure knows how to draft a team. And an absolute home run draft day from Mike Elias. Everyone also agrees. I was looking at what other people were saying about this draft, just kind of seeing other opinions, people's opinions on this draft, and I think they agree as well. This draft was an absolute home run for the Orioles. It bolsters up this farm system even more, and at the end of the day, taking best player available, the future stays extremely bright for the Orioles. And even with all this stuff going on this season, even after yesterday's 11-1 loss and going into All-Star break on a series loss, and the season really being in jeopardy with only a couple weeks until the trade deadline, this really was like the light at the end of the tunnel. This really was a very big bright spot in the day, just to show that this Orioles team's the future is still extremely bright. And again, this season is just really like a hiccup in the road. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. I know this content was a little bit different than usual. Usually I do post-game stuff, but we did have to go over the draft. There was a ton of draft stuff going on. We definitely had to go over that because it's exciting. Draft season is exciting, especially when the Orioles had four first-round picks. We went over 3 of them. They were incredible picks. I love all of them. I love all those picks. And I think that they're going to be very big parts of the Orioles in the future. Again, whether that's a trade piece or whether that's actually a part of the team for the future, I think it's going to be very, very fun to see. But I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow going over the All-Star game. We're just going to, do a little post-game thing about the All-Star game. Not necessarily only talking about Ryan O'Hearn, but obviously we're going to be highlighting how Ryan O'Hearn does tomorrow, or how he did tomorrow in the All-Star game. Again, the MLB All-Star game is tomorrow night. I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow night after the game. Just recapping the game in general, talking about Ryan O'Hearn, talking about the game in general, seeing who won. Hopefully the American League can go out there and get a win. This is All-Star break. So obviously tomorrow is the game. And then Wednesday, Thursday is Ravens training camp. Ravens training camp officially opens up on Wednesday, so that is going to be extremely, extremely exciting. So we're definitely going to be going over that. With no baseball on for those 2 days, we're going to be going over the Ravens. So Ravens content is finally back, but we are getting close to football season, so that is very exciting. But again, if you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and like the video as well. Make sure to follow up on Spotify. And if you want more updates, make sure to check out the Instagram and the Twitter. I'm doing I live tweet every single game, every single reaction, and every single bit of news that comes out. I always tweet my first reaction before I do an episode on it. And then on Instagram. Make sure to follow because I post updates on every single time that I post an episode. So make sure to give both of those a follow. Just click the link in the bio of whatever platform you're listening on and make sure to give those a follow. I appreciate all the support that you guys have given me. I'll be back tomorrow with an episode going over the All-Star game. It's very exciting. And there's also the Home Run Derby tonight. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, make sure to comment who you think is actually going to win the Home Run Derby tonight. I would love to see y'all's thoughts. But again, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a great sales day. Peace out.